I'm here with Benji and Arya of Skindred to talk about Smile. And I see you guys are I'm smiling. Comes out August 4th on Earache Records. Thank you very much for taking the time. Thank you very much for joining me for this chat. How are you folks doing today?
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm amazing. Thank you very much. It's a good day to be in Skindred.
So let's start off by asking you guys this, because when I saw the title of the record and when I saw the cover artwork of the album, I was like, Smile, wow, this is a great record to come out on August 4th. Everybody needs a smile in the summer. But then I started listening to the album and I started wondering, are they being a little bit sarcastic with this smile? Because is this a multifaceted smile? Because you smile for very different reasons, not always for happiness. So what kind of smile are you guys trying to represent here?
I mean, from my end, do you want to go first?
No, go on. You do your thing, bro.
From my end, it depends how you wake up in the morning and how you're feeling on the day and what song you're listening to on the record. I mean, for me, I'm a fairly positive, happy-going person. So for my end, I'd like it to be a happy smile when you're listening to the record, like the same as when you'd come and see us live. That same thing. You can go through all these different emotions, but I think being positive and being happy, I think that's where I want to come from. I'm pretty sure Benji's in the same category as well. I don't know.
Yeah, man, that's the vibe. I mean, calling the album Smile, you got to remember what was going on when we named the album. You know, we were in the middle of the world's most evil pandemic, and there wasn't much to smile about. So I thought, yeah, I just thought I wanted to turn my frown upside down, you know, and say, you know, I'm smiling. I'm smiling in the face of all the bullshit that's going on. We're smiling and pushing on through together.
And then after I dealt with the title of the album and I process it in my own way, I start to look at the diversity of the record, which is nothing new. It's the diversity of the band is well represented on this album. But how do you guys put together a track list that emphasizes that diversity, but at the same time still gives the listener a sense that you're listening to a record, not just a collection of songs kind of thrown together?
You know what, I'll be honest with you, we don't think about that. It's something that we don't think about. This is what Skindred does. We draw on the things that we love, and we get in the room and write, and we fight and we get it right, you know, and until we're all happy with it, whether it's the more reggae sounding stuff or whether it's the more heavier stuff. We really don't think that much about it. This is what Skindred does. You know, if we got 8 albums behind us, 7 albums behind us, now Smile, that's 8. And we've never really thought about that. This is just what we do. The best thing I could say is that it's the environment that the band is brought up in, you know, especially me as the lyricist and the front man of the band. You know, what you hear and what you see in Skindred music is really a representation of my life, you know, and where I've come from with music and stuff, you know.
I think to touch on what Benji's just said, with this record in particular, one thing, I mean, it might have been a happy accident, but when we all do the track listing in terms of, you know, you've got all these different kinds of songs, right? You don't want to group up. Well, we never want to group up, you know, there's the 4 reggae tunes, there's the 4. It has to be a journey. And the one thing at the beginning, I think, I can't remember if it was me, but some of the guys was like, we start with Our Religion. That's a song about being in Skindred, as Ben's just said. And if you bookended it with Unstoppable, that's another song about being in Skindred. Do you see what I'm trying to say? The lyrics, he's talking about as an overall, basically, our religion. We're all in this together. Music is our religion.
That's our church. Skindred is our church. Yeah.
And that's everyone's invited. And you go on this journey with us through the record, be that being addicted or set phases, you know, take your pick. You know, we try and have the track listing so they're peaks and troughs, but at the end of it, it's bookended with the track Unstoppable. And that to me sets up record number 9, because there will be another record, there will be more touring. You know what I mean? And that's where I looked at it. And so those 2 songs were the pillars of the record, and everything in between is the journey.
And may I say, Arya, I think that is a very cool way of describing the record. Good on you, man.
Thank you.
Killer. I'll be stealing that when I'm doing interviews on my own.
I need to be at every interview now, don't I?
I know, that's it, man. I can't do it without you, bro. Come on, man.
I love the dynamic between you guys. You mentioned 8 records now with this one, 8 records under your belt. And the diversity of the band is what is the band. Now, does that make the process, the creative process, a little bit more complex, or is, like you said, a very organic way of just getting in there, working out together, butting heads if you have to, and just letting the DNA of the band kind of come to the surface, and then those songs eventually gain life?
I mean,
think, you know what you, I think what you just said there about the because, you know, I don't look at the music and go, that is this or that is that. You know, we just get together in a room, and, you know, sometimes it'll just be me and Michael write something, and other times with me and Dan, and then we send it, then we get in the room together, and that's when the process begins. I mean, I always think that without Arya or Mike or Dan, it's not Skindred. And I think that the four of us, whether it's the pen from one of the members of the band or the other, it becomes Skindred when it's the four of us sit on it, you know?
I always think as well, I agree. I think there are, if you look back at the history of the band, some records were, let's say, harder to write, some were easier, some were more enjoyable, some wasn't as enjoyable, but it's the journey every single time. And so I look back at this and go, okay, there are bits of this I didn't enjoy as much, but then there are bits that I loved. And that's the same for every record. And we get together at the end of it and go, okay, well, here's the record that we all created, and you get to hold the vinyl or the tape or the fucking CD, the digital download. Look at it, you know what I'm trying to say? It's like there's a moment of being proud, I think.
Of course, totally.
Going through everything, and every record's been different, and every single one, if it was the same and if it was easy, every fucking guy would do it, right? Sorry, I don't know if we
It's like going to the gym, you know, it's not easy.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. Nothing in life that's worth getting is easy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not betting men here, we're not gambling on shit. You know, it's like trying to make a living doing music. It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
You know, in this conversation, we've used the word DNA quite a bit. Let me ask you this. Have you guys, during that creative process, not necessarily on this record, but on previous albums even, did you guys ever come up with a song that you're like, wow, even for us, this is a little bit too way outside the box? Did that has ever happened to you guys?
I think, you know, I wouldn't say this is outside the box. It's a case of, do you like it or you're not? You know, we're fortunate enough not to be pigeonholing ourselves into thinking, oh, we got to do heavy metal, we got to do this. So we have never done that. But one thing I would say, if a song is not backed by all of us or a democracy, then it's not being recorded. You know what I mean, huh?
Pretty much it, yeah. I mean, all of our favorite acts, I mean, my favorite band in the world's Queen. And so you listen to Night at the Opera, which is one of my favorite records, where you've got Bohemian Rhapsody, but you've also got I'm in Love with My Car, which are two polar opposite songs. And you've got, you know, a George Formby banjo style track mixed with Death on Two Legs. And I don't think, I say this a lot if I'm doing interviews on my own, there's this glue of Skindred, which, you know, yeah, it's the four guys, but it's a lot to do with it's Benji's voice that can go between those things. And it's like, I always like the juxtaposition. It's like, if we're going heavy, I don't want him going heavy all the time. Yeah, when it's right, you know what I mean? There's those little things where you can peek out and it makes you different. It makes you stand out. I think if we were a typical heavy metal band, I think going back to your question from last time, it would be fucking like pulling teeth for us, just sitting in one lane and just trying to do. I mean, it's really hard because you know, we drink coffee, we're hyperactive people, we listen to lots of music. You know, you don't want to sit in one pocket.
Yeah, I in all honesty, when I was a kid, I sang on reggae sound systems, and I did that for quite a while. And I'll be honest with you, I was bored to fuck. I always wanted to do something which, you know, for example, I listen to Pantera, and I wonder what Bob Marley would sound like singing for Pantera. And then I listen to the Wailers, who are the most amazing reggae band, and think, I wonder what Phil Anselmo would do on this. You know, and I've always did that. And I love that challenge in music. I don't like being stuck in a rut where you're not being challenged. You know what I mean? I think I want to push the boundaries of music. We're not supposed to be comfortable. This is rock and roll. This is not supposed to be comfortable. Oh yeah, I'm okay in my corner. It's supposed to be, you know, you're supposed to prod and poke people. And when they say they don't like it, it's great. Because we've done our job, which is not to make everybody love this band. Because not everybody is going to love the band, you know.
one thing I think everybody's gonna love once they listen to this record is the sound on this record. Now, this
Ooh,
album,
nice.
this album
Nice.
has big sound, like really like. I felt like I was listening to this record in a stadium or at
Oh,
Vox.
you're saying all the right things, bro. You're saying
I'm telling you how I feel.
Guess this for life.
You got to guess this forever, man.
And nobody's paid me to say this. I'm telling you exactly how it felt to me.
And we appreciate that.
When I was listening to the album, I was like, wow, it's like they took everything that they sound like when they perform in a big festival, outdoors, stadiums, whatever, but they brought that experience into the studio and somehow made it work. Was that the mindset coming into the recording process?
I'll be honest, it's always the mindset, isn't it? Because because we're a live band. So to say that we've captured that, to me, that that's
what it's all about. That's what we've always wanted to do, And if that's how you're feeling, that's fantastic. I would say that the engineer and the producer, they were great people to work with. Lazy as fuck, but very nice people. I think Pete Hutch, who mixed the album, brought it alive in such a way. I'll be honest with you, Arya, in all the years I've played with you, I've never heard your kit sound so strong. And I don't listen to the record all the time. There's a few record songs I listen to on there, but the ones where I don't know, it's just your kit sounds like it's in the room, even on my headphones, and that's and I know that is Pete and that is Julian. So you've got to give them props for bringing that magic to the room.
Yeah, I mean, there's a real attention to detail on this one. I feel like for good or bad, I don't want to talk bad about past things. So I don't think it's right to, because I'm proud of everything we've done to a certain degree. And I think changing up the team, I think, was the best thing for this record, because just out of circumstances, everything.
Yeah.
Everything, there's you can't put your finger on what it's going to be like until it's happened. Does that make sense? You can't.
Yeah, totally.
Plans go. You know what I mean? I'm just sort of. We could have engineered it in a way where we went back and used the same team with the same songs and the same studio, but the outcome would have been different. Like everything just happened in a nice way.
I mean, it's funny because like I've had some like really weird experiences recording in the studio, but from my end, from the time I pulled up outside the studio to the time, I've never been in the studio with my band members, and 3 weeks in, be sad because we're leaving. I've never done that, and that's how I felt. And I thought that was a great thing to be in a band for 25 years and then still got the passion, you still got that love, and like I said already, you're in the studio for 4 weeks recording the album, and when you're leaving, you actually feel like you've been on a camping trip with a school. It was so good.
We all sort of hung out. I mean, I think going back to it as well, it's like the period of time that we got to record was towards the end of the pandemic. So we did the whole pandemic of 18 months without playing live and all this stuff. And then we were one of the first bands in the UK to play a show. There was like this Download Festival was a pilot, and we were one of the first bands to play, and we played. And I think doing that and doing a couple of shows, then going to record, I think everyone just felt really thankful for like.
Yeah. And I thought it was cool that halfway through the record, we actually went and did one more show. We did a show and then went back to the studio, which I think was, like you said, I think the word gratitude was thrown around a lot during the process of the writing, because, we had 18 months of sat in the house, not even knowing whether I was going to pick up a microphone, whether I was going to go work for Clifford.
I didn't see you in person for 18 months.
I know, and that's the longest. Incredible.
We don't live in the same area.
No, he lives in London, I live in Wales, and it's far from each other. But I mean, just the word gratitude is something that I think musicians now, after going through all that, and I think a lot of that came into the studio with us as well. I was thankful for my bass player, my drummer, and my guitarist, Thankful that we all made it through. Our families made it through, It was something to really rejoice.
Yeah, I
was going to say.
Yeah, we talk most days, we talk most days throughout all of that. But yeah, it was I think definitely the pandemic really had a lot to play on our album, on Smile, in a positive way.
Yeah, I have to ask you guys about my favorite song on the record, and that is "Disappointed Love." For a multitude of reasons, my favorite song. First of all, the title of the record, the title of the track is pure genius. I love the play on words, because if
Yeah,
you're not looking at the actual title and you just listen to the song, you're thinking it's "Disappointed Love," not "This Appointed Love." So I thought right away, this is pure genius. And then the song itself, to me, is such an important track in the overall design of the album. It's a track that consolidates the whole record in terms of what came before and what comes after. It's almost like an interlude that it's not an interlude, but it's a track that really plays a very important role, at least for me as a listener who goes from
yeah.
first to last track. How did this track get born, and where did the title came from? Like this idea of the title.
Yeah, I mean, actually, when I started writing with Dan on this song, I did call it "Disappointed Love," and I thought I don't want to be negative, even though even though the song is about a breakup and someone getting their heart pulled apart. I wanted to call it "This Appointed Love" because I just felt it was a nicer title, you know. But it's funny because the demo says disappointed. I can't remember, but yeah. But anyway, that was the vibe of it. It goes back to when I was younger. I used to be involved in the reggae sound systems, and that kind of vocals I loved, and I always wanted to do it with Skindred. So when I got the opportunity, I was like, right, we're going to do this song. And fortunately, me and Dan started it and played it to the guys, and they loved it too. You know,
That was one of those songs where I feel it doesn't happen all the time where someone brings a demo in and you're like, yeah, in, yeah, love it, don't want to change anything. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Some
yeah.
songs
Well,
work
if it,
like
it worked, it worked. I mean, for me, I love it because you got this reggae thing happening, and then all of a sudden, this most evil, the chords just open up, and you know, it speaks volumes at that point. It just opens up when the chorus hits. You know, yeah. So yeah,
yeah,
that's
some tracks
definitely
we are about, don't we? Some tracks that really there's an idea,
yeah,
and the idea could just be a vocal or a riff or a beat or whatever. It's just but someone's got a real hard on for it. Like, oh, trust me, but it's the tiniest little thing. And then there are some things where they're a full song that
yeah,
you'll be presented with from my end. So you know,
yeah, of course,
and some songs take a lot of work in the studio, and some songs don't. That song, from my memory, did not. It was the demo that was presented to the rest of the band. Sounds pretty close to what is on the record.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
not
yeah.
miles away, you know. It's like, and there's some songs where you'd hear the demo and it's like that's a completely different tune.
Different song, yeah, yeah,
But that was one of the ones that was just well,
yeah.
this is
Disappointed love really really does what Skindred do, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's a song that I don't care where you live, who you are, who you're in love with, anybody can relate to that track. And I think
Yeah, yeah,
that's the beauty of it. It doesn't it's not pointed at a specific audience. Anybody who's gone through those experiences listens to that song and it hits home, and you're like, yeah, man, like I feel it. And it takes you
yeah.
back to that moment where you experienced it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that was the point of the song, you know, and we've all been through that. You know, we've all been through that love where it's gone sour, and I just it's just one of them things. I think you know, a lot of rock bands are frightened to experience to unleash that beast that's in us all. But I think on Smile we've definitely touched everything from addiction, you know, and it's not just addiction of drugs. It's just addiction of anything it may be, any demon that's in your way, you know. And we touched on love. We touched on, you know, the love for your mother. It's an album full of emotion for sure.
One last question for you guys. Any chance when you're traveling around Europe one of these days, you kind of get lost at the airport and embark in a flight to North America by accident to play some shows?
Yeah. What part do you want us to get to? Because we'll know now. Yeah,
So,
we'd love to go. We're itching to get to America. It's been 5 long years, and we're very we love America. We love the people in the States, and we do miss you guys. And we hope this record brings us over to your shores. So we may get lost and come on over.
well, I rang my manager literally 5 minutes before this to ask him if I could say something. So I can't say what we're doing, but we are 100% coming to North America next year.
All right.
There you go.
I can tell you it's in April, and that's all I can say.
All right, look at that.
all
I
right.
can't wait for April.
Wasn't allowed. I'd say, can I mention that we might be going? And he was like, yes, you can, but you can't say what you're doing. And I went, okay,
Okay. Brilliant.
All right,
I'm in. I want to come. Can I come?
you can come.
I'm hyped now. I'm hyped. I'm smiling now.
Good.
So, and I
Good.
think,
There you go. You
and-
got it. There you go.
I think everybody who listens to this record is going to be smiling as well. And for all of us in North America, we're definitely smiling now, knowing that you guys are going to come here and play some shows.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to seeing you guys here in person and listen to your music and feeling the vibe. Congratulations on this record. Really, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. This is a great album from start to end. I enjoyed every single second of it. So
wow. Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
A smile on my face while I was listening to this record.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you, mate.
I mean, this is what we wanted to do. We just intended to give someone, you know, just to give some sense of hope, joy, and entertainment to the world. You know, not just keep taking, but give something. You know. And thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. All the best.
Yeah, man. We'll see you out there, bro. Peace.
We'll see you.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Nice
man.
to meet you.